Superintendent of Schools, administrators, staff, parents, friends, and honored guests, the class of 2022. On behalf of the Rhinebeck School District, I welcome you to the 127th commencement ceremony of Rhinebeck High School. Please stand and join us in singing our national anthem.
afternoon and welcome to the 2022 Rhinebeck graduation. Before I begin, I would like to extend a special thank you to Superintendent Dr. Lutinsky, High School Principal Dr. Wilson, members of the Board of Education President Ms. Rubin, special guest Brendan Crowley, teachers, families, guests, and, of course, the graduating class of 2022. Today, 105 students have gathered together to celebrate diving into a new ocean, a new stage of life, and to commemorate the river that has carried us here. Most of us have been in this district for 13 years. That's 13 years of classes and teachers, 13 years of friendships and fighting, 13 years of growing up and changing and learning. In kindergarten, we learned how to be kind. We learned how to share, how to give, how to put others before ourselves. My friends and I formed a club where we made bird nests on the pavement to give them homes. Obviously, I now realize that birds can't just pick up that nest and take it to a tree, but we didn't know better back then. We didn't know anything about the world around us. We didn't know how to read, how to write. All we knew is that we wanted to make the world a better place. First grade, we learned how to learn. We jumped headfirst into a murky pool because we just wanted to know what was underneath the surface. We learned how to read and write, how to immerse ourselves into other worlds. We learned to imagine and play pretend. In first grade, we learned that there was more to experience beyond our tiny pond. In first grade, we learned how to dream. I don't remember much from the next 3 years except the people. I think in those years, we learned about friendship, about helping others not just because it was the right thing to do, but because we wanted to. In fourth grade, I met my best friend, Jessica, and I chose to grow close with her, chose to open my tiny hand and lead her into my life. In those 3 years, we were given our first taste of choice, of freedom, and we loved it. In fifth grade, we learned how to grow up. We thought we did. Teachers constantly threatened with the larger-than-life middle school, telling us how hard it was and how disciplined we would have to be to even survive. I realize now that they lied to us, or at least exaggerated a bit. But we grew self-important. We were the biggest fish in our small pond. We were scared for the future, but proud of how far we had come. We were a lot like we are now. I'm just going to lump all of middle school in as one period, because I don't think anyone wants to spend time dwelling on our teenage years. In middle school, we learned about balance. As much as we loved our families, our friends had a huge place in our lives as well, and we had to choose. The options that we once viewed as a privilege became a burden, a stressor. In middle school, we learned to sacrifice the kindness of kindergarten, to put ourselves first. We lied and we gossiped, but we also learned to stand up for ourselves, to go against the current and speak out against things that we thought were wrong. In middle school, we found our voices. In freshman year, we learned how to be scared. We were now small fish in a big, unfamiliar pond. We were scared of the seniors, scared of not fitting in, scared of the future, but that fear pushed us. We might have hidden from the seniors in the halls, but we learned to expand our friend groups and find the people who were right for us. We learned about options for the future, more choices that we were terrified to make, but at least we knew what the options were. At least we learned. Sophomore and junior year, we learned about how much we needed each other. The friendships we took for granted, the greetings in the hall that we never dwelled on, all disappeared in an instant. So we learned how to connect with each other in a world where connection seemed impossible, even dangerous. We learned how to hope, how to keep going in a world where everything seemed lost, how to keep forging through a pitch-black tunnel because we knew the light at the end would be well worth the trek. Senior year, we learned how to say goodbye. Back together after almost 2 years of being apart, we found friendship again. We reconnected, rekindled old relationships because no trivial dispute seemed worse than what we had just faced, what we had faced together. In senior year, we became one class, one group of people, even though we could count the days before we would be separated again. We still have a lot to learn. As much as I will miss everything and everyone here, I'm not satisfied, and I don't think any of us are. We still have so much more to experience, so many oceans to explore, but honestly, I don't know what's coming next, where the current will carry us. What I do know is this. Everything we have learned in the past 13 years, everywhere that river took us, will help us with what is to come. And if we remember nothing else, if we forget the math equations and formulas, the themes and symbols in The Great Gatsby, if it somehow slips our minds that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, I know that the most important things we learned in those 13 years will never leave us. Our kindness will help us connect to those around us. Our imagination will help us dream big, and our ambition will push us to act on those dreams. Our confidence will help us to forge our own path, help us stay true to ourselves. Our voices will help us stand up for ourselves, and our fear will push us to use those voices to fight against our nightmares. Our hope will help us find light when we are surrounded by darkness, help us keep going when everything seems lost. And our farewells will help us learn to savor things while we still have them. Our goodbyes will teach us love. Thank you.
Ava? Afternoon. I had a few favorite teachers when I was in high school, but I ran into my all-time favorite not too long ago. Bill McAndrews is one of those few teachers that we invite to our class reunions because he was always funny, interesting, and dynamic. Not too strict, but he kept us on task. He had a flair for the dramatic and a love for cowboy movies. He once had us produce a pageant that was a fusion of Homer's epic poem, The Iliad, and the old western, The Magnificent Seven. To my recollection, I've never been to Paramus, New Jersey, but Paramus was the answer to a bonus question on one of his Latin tests. The question was, what New Jersey city name is the same as "we are prepared" in Latin? Paramus. I've always remembered that translation. Similarly, my father was in the Coast Guard, and their motto is Semper Paratus. Semper meaning always, and paratus meaning ready. I think that's the underlying theme about going off and doing something new. Can you honestly declare Paramus, and do you feel Semper Paratus? How do you know if you are prepared or ready? When you're on the verge of a big change, there's frequently a blend of fear and excitement. FDR famously encouraged Americans at the outset of the New Deal by declaring, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Well, he lied too. Spiders are horrible. But his message was really about confidence and state of mind. Each of you probably has your own Mr. McAndrews, and maybe they're sitting right over here. But you all have been given academic knowledge by an array of good teachers. You've also been given a social education by teachers and staff and friends and family. You know the right and wrong things to say in certain circumstances, and you know how to manage productive relationships. You've had the opportunity to express interests, explore talents, and you've built the resumes that got you through that next door. But now what are you going to do? Here's where the Latin comes in. You've got what you need on paper.
You need to own it. Even if you have doubts, act like you've earned it. You are the experts on you, so trust in your preparation. The real transition into adulthood isn't a report card or knowing Latin words or gathering for a ceremony. It's when you become the master of your own talents, when you have the clarity to rely on your own judgment, and when you have carefully chosen how and who to ask for help. It's when you can take all these things on the resume and all the subtle emotional and cultural lessons learned and wield them to forge a life. That's when you will be semper paratus. Know that when you grab your tassel and move it across your cap, you're symbolically flicking a switch, turning on control of your own futures. Are you prepared? How will you do? I happen to think you will do very well. Semper Rheineck. Thank you.
Wrong one. Is this thing working? Okay. Each year, Rheineck invites an alumnus from the 10-year anniversary class to share an experience and wisdom they've collected in the time since they have left our little school. Brendan Crowley is a 2012 graduate of Rheineck High School. During his time as a Panther, he was class president, a student senator, editor-in-chief of the Panther's Tale, and a three-sport athlete playing cross-country, basketball, and baseball. Brendan's post-Rheineck experience is varied and exciting and speaks to his enthusiasm and appetite for life. After earning his bachelor's degree at Georgetown, Brendan went to Cincinnati on fellowship, to Brooklyn as a communications director, and even out on his own as a freelance journalist in his spare time. Brendan is now working in the climate solution industry as a content marketing manager. Brendan is fondly remembered by everyone who worked with him during his time in Rheineck. We are honored to have him here today, and I'm pleased to present him with a plaque to commemorate this occasion. Please welcome Brendan Crowley.
Sorry, I'm a little tall. Thank you, Asher, for the kind introduction. You know, when all of those experiences are read together, it actually sounds like part of a coherent plan. So I and my parents, who are here today, really appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Rheineck class of 2022, Dr. Latinsky, the president of the Board of Education, Mrs. Rubin, and the trustees, Dr. Wilson, and the entire faculty and staff, in particular, Ms. Folchetti, for inviting me to speak here today. It is an immense honor and a delight to be back on campus. Graduates, I'd like to start with a confession. Today, you will not be hearing from a one-man fountain of wisdom or an absolute authority on how to thrive on post-high school planet Earth. In reality, you will be hearing from a 28-year-old who, 10 years after sitting where you are sitting today, is absolutely still trying to figure it all out. That said, I've packed a lot into the last decade and have a few thoughts that I'd like to share with you. The first is regarding a question that I imagine each of you has been asked a few hundred times over the past few months. So, how do you feel about graduating? There's always emphasis on that last word, graduating, as if you are preparing for a life on Saturn. Well, I'm here to assure each of you that whether you are excited, shaking in your boots, or having mixed emotions, you are ready. I say this with confidence because over the last decade, it has become clear to me that Rheineck High School is a place that gives you a sense of where you are. I've borrowed that phrase from one of my favorite writers, John McPhee, who used it to describe a basketball player that, after years of playing, became so familiar with where they were on the court that they could dribble, pass, shoot, and score almost subconsciously. I'd guess that many of you experience a similar sense of effortlessness as you drift around this school, which, let's be honest here, sometimes feels about as big as a basketball court. You know which friends you'll pass in the hallway between your afternoon classes, how long it takes to get to Anthony's and back during a free period. I hope that reference still lands. Which seat in the auditorium squeaks ever so slightly when you fidget in it during an assembly? It might be all of them. These familiarities blend together and produce a steady rhythm to life at Rhinebeck, a harmony that has given each of you the bandwidth to explore, experiment, and find what excites you. By giving you a sense of where you are, Rhinebeck has allowed each of you to develop a sense of who you are. That is powerful. Now, when you leave Rhinebeck, you may temporarily lose your sense of where you are. Whether you're starting college, work, service, or another adventure, moving far away or staying local, the day-to-day look and feel of your life will soon change, and an undercurrent of unfamiliarity might surface. This can be as thrilling as it is terrifying. I remember walking into one of my first classes as a college student and momentarily struggling to grasp the fact that the equivalent of 3 full Rhinebeck graduating classes appeared to be joining me. I believe that was also the day I had my first cup of coffee. Sometimes, if you lose your sense of where you are, your sense of self may waver. You may be tempted to look back and yearn for what was. My challenge to each of you is to continuously find the courage to take another step forward. Trust yourself to be bold and blaze your own path. There is a quote from the Spanish poet Antonio Machado that puts this better than yours truly ever could. He writes, "Wanderer," that's all of you, "there is no road. The road is made by walking. By walking, one makes the road, and upon glancing behind, one sees the path that never will be trod again." Graduates, as you make your road, I encourage you to take some detours. As my biography revealed, I have accumulated perhaps too much experience in this department, but I assure you that I am not the only devotee of the nonlinear path. In fact, while I was writing this speech, I reached out to 30 of the wisest people in my little world, friends, family, colleagues, mentors, and asked them for the one piece of advice that they would give their 18-year-old self. With astonishing consistency, in dispatches from Nairobi, Kentucky, Puerto Rico, Mamaroneck, and so on, people encouraged their past selves to seek out new faces and experiences as intensely as they protect their existing relationships. Now, that's no doubt a nice pearl of wisdom, but it's easier said than done. Taking detours and passionately seeking out the unknown requires courage and a willingness to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Each of your opportunities to do so will be different. A job offer in a faraway city, a chance to take a class to learn a new language, an invitation to go skydiving with a friend. New is scary, but new is where the magic is. Run towards it. To prove that I practice what I preach, I'd like to tell you a story about salsa. Not the food, that's not scary, just delicious, but the dance. The first time I experienced salsa dancing was actually in a Rhinebeck High School gym class. And on that day, it became crystal clear to me that that would be the last day of my salsa career. Apologies to my partner, wherever she is. Which is why, many years later, when a friend that I was visiting in Mexico City told me how excited he was to take me out for an evening of salsa dancing, I nearly melted into the floor. When we arrived at the club, my worst fears were realized. There was a live band, multicolored spotlights, and an overwhelming number of people who seemed to know exactly what they were doing. Nowhere to hide. As I stood on the side with my friend, to my horror, 2 young women approached. The language barrier kept me out of the subsequent conversation, but before I knew it, all faces had turned to me, each flashing the universal, "You in?" expression. "See," I said. For the next however many minutes, I had one of the best times of my life. Not because I suddenly became a competent dancer. I actually later saw the footage, and my movements were Tin Man-esque, but because I had sidestepped the human tendency to stay in my comfort zone. Small detours like this will electrify your day-to-day lives. And if you get into the habit of taking them, they will prepare you for the big twists and turns that really make life meaningful, like graduating from high school and starting the next chapter of your life. The last point that I want to touch on is perhaps the most important. It is not lost on me that your resilience has been tested to an abnormal degree over the past few years. Even with support from a fantastic school like Rhinebeck, from your families and from your friends, I recognize that navigating overlapping global crises as a teenager is not what you signed up for. Nevertheless, here you are. Graduation gear on, diploma soon to be in hand, celebrations forthcoming. Always remember, you did that. Makes the future seem a little less daunting, right? I will leave you all today with a quote that I return to quite often. At both the peaks and valleys of life, it fills me with calm. It is taken from The Alchemist, a delightful book written by the Brazilian author Paulo Coelho. And as each of you journeys forward, I hope it offers some peace of mind. He writes, "When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it." So take a look around at your fellow graduates, at your family and friends in the crowd, at your universe. Ask yourself, what will I achieve next? Thank you, and congratulations to the Rhinebeck class of 2022.
Good evening, Superintendent Lutinsky, Principal Wilson, President Rubin, and Board of Education trustees, Rhinebeck staff, honored guests and family, and especially members of the class of 2022. This year marks the 30th year the Rhinebeck Teachers Association has given a scholarship award to a hardworking, enthusiastic student. Recently, the RNTA renamed our award to honor the memory of all our Rhinebeck staff who have passed on in recent years, among them Maureen Sullivan, whose memory founded this scholarship, and the more recently departed Charlie Colonese, Peter Scroy, Cindy Foster, and Tony Cruz. The senior who receives this award must possess the qualities the Rhinebeck teachers hold dear: motivation and self-direction, an energetic commitment to learning, a belief in the value of service, and an understanding of the role that leadership plays in the success of the group. This year's recipient is a hardworking and compassionate individual. She volunteered her time as a camp leader and camp counselor at her church's summer camp for the past 5 years, and has been dedicated to helping 4 local families with childcare for extra money over the years. She is a singer and a self-taught pianist, as well as being bilingual in English and Portuguese, a member of the Spanish Club, and an active member of Rhinebeck's chapter of SAD. She spent her internship working with Mrs. Levin in the kindergarten classroom at Daniel Warren. She was named as one of the best smiles in her class and will be gracing the campus of Syracuse University in the fall with it. Congratulations, Hillary De Silva.
All right, let's get this one over with and get on with our lives. I can say that I'm valedictorian. If I've earned nothing else, it's the right to tell people I don't like public speaking. Just kidding. Despite my nervousness, I really am honored to be able to speak today. But it's worth mentioning that before I'm honored to be the top of my class, I'm honored to be a part of this class. The Rhinebeck class of 2022, full of people more remarkable than their valedictorian. This class of 105 students who could give a better speech than I can. A very special pool of remarkable athletes, academics, artists, adventurers of all kinds. We only get more and more interesting as you get to know us better. And when you're as accomplished as we are, it's easy to think of this as an end of some sort. Everything we've done seems to have culminated in this year and then eventually in this moment. For the past year, I found myself thinking, well, this is the last something, my last first day of high school, my last class schedule, my last team of Rhinebeck teachers. And as we reached the end of the year, everything that was the last of the year only became laster. It wasn't the last math unit of the curriculum, it was the last math unit of high school at large, which was sadder than we expected. It's the last high school Duncan run, the last time we'll paint the rock or attend a pep rally, the last class, the last bell, and today. Today's going to be our last day. And I know I'm not the only one. There's been plenty of that going around. Our athletes have attended their last games or matches or meets. Our artists have finished the details on their last high school project. Our actors have said their last lines in their last high school play. We're closing tabs that have been open for months or even years. Delta Math and Castle Learning, the portal, the AP classroom, the Rhinebeck webpage. And it's the last time we'll do that. It's the end of the line. And it sounds sad when we say it like that. That's why whenever I begin to remark about one of our lasts, I always receive a convenient interruption or a sharp hush from the sentimental salutatorian seated next to me. That's why we silently hesitate before we embark on a part of our routine for the last time, letting that moment wash over us. That's why each glittering new horizon is shadowed by that painful awareness. That awareness that we have never felt the current of time tugging on us as we do now. That somehow, in a blur, our whole lives have ended up behind us, and the rest of our lives now stretches forth beyond the roar of the coming waterfall. And you know, that's a fair way to feel. That's the natural way to feel. But there comes a time when we need to get over ourselves, frankly. In a couple of months, we're going to be making a whole new world of firsts. The river keeps flowing down to the sea. So are we really going to dock our ships before the journey's begun? Are we really going to tally up our high school accomplishments and say, yep, we did it. That's it. We're done. Of course not. We're not even 20, so let's get over ourselves. The best is yet to come. We're going to be small fish in a vast ocean again soon. Yes, we are a remarkable class of accomplished and unique individuals who have done incredible things here, but we are nothing compared to what we will be. Even my own greatest accomplishment, the highest honor I've had the privilege to earn, the achievement that I poured my heart and soul into, winning the annual senior spoon game as a part of the Final Five. It was really difficult, it's really hard. Even that will mean less and less as I get older and navigate new waters. So we can sit around and remember our youth like we're old. It's okay to celebrate our achievements and recall the past because it was beautiful. But it's important to remember that if this is an end, it is the end of the prologue alone. That these sparkling ripples are far from the best that we can do. So catch your breath now so we can catch that wave that's going to carry us to the rest of our lives. It's coming sooner than we want it to. And so maybe we need to cry about it a little. And if you do need to cry, like Ava seems to every other day, well, it's like I said in the beginning. Let's get it over with and get on with our lives. Because when the tears are dry and the tide comes in, the best of our lives are waiting for us. Thank you, and once again, congratulations to the class of 2022.
This thing still working? Okay. Good evening. I am Asher Rabinowitz, president of RINEX class of 2022. This year, in contemplating the class gift, we cannot help but think about all that we have been through in the past few years with regard to space. Especially during the height of pandemic, space was at a premium everywhere. So we felt our gift should emphasize what we value, and we decided to beautify some of the brand new space afforded to us in the courtyard of our brand new science wing. To that end, the class will be gifting some raised flower beds and a bench to help make the brand new courtyard more beautiful and nature-y.
Hi everyone, I'm Maya Julia and I'm Vice President of the class of 2022. The flowers and the bench will be there for the use of students and teachers who need a moment apart, who want to breathe in some fresh air. This little corner of campus will be dedicated to the memory of my sister, Claire Julian. Thanks.
Thank you for your generous gift. This gift will create the perfect space for students to quietly work and reflect during the day while simultaneously honoring Claire's memory. So thank you. I will definitely keep my remarks brief. 30 years ago, very close to today, I sat at my very own high school commencement. If you would have told me then that I would be up here giving these remarks, I would not have believed you. My life took me on what I thought was one of those delightful little detours that Brendan mentioned. Ultimately, I realized this wasn't a detour, but actually where I was meant to be. Life seldom goes according to plan, so here are a few things to keep in mind as you continue your journey. First, maintain a supportive network of people, and when necessary, lean on them. Each of you are here today because of the love and support of family and friends. They have celebrated your successes and wiped away tears during difficult times. The memories you create with them will sustain you and give you strength during difficult times. Next, be open to new experiences. I would never have known how much I loved teaching without being open to trying. Trying new things forces you to face your fears and experience discomfort. But remember to push through, just like Brendan encouraged you to do as well. Next, maintain flexibility. And you're all masters of this at this point. The last 2 years have provided all of us with ample practice. Moving this ceremony back outdoors a few hours ago, another example of how life's unexpected twists and turns will require flexibility. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, never stop dreaming or believing. Langston Hughes explains far more eloquently than I ever could. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. So my wish for you, the class of 2022, is for you to always dream, unapologetically and without limitations, for all things are possible. May all your dreams come true. Now, the moment I know that we've all been waiting for, I'd like to invite Board of Education President Mrs. Rubin to join us for the presentation of the diplomas. Jessica Park. Ava Grace Liebman. Asher Scheider Rabinowitz. Maya Julian. Stephanie Maria Ciardello. Jacqueline Grace Lynch. Naomi Brianna Acosta. Abigail Andrade. Maria Eugenia Andres. Mael Aubrey. Olivia Rose Offarth. Charles Blanche. Kalima Bogan. Katrina Boswell. Philip Marcel Butner. Ryan Cantu. Bella Caparuso. Sophia Caparelli. Devin Jade Shafalo. Madison Sydney Cole. Alana I. Condon. Allison E. Cooper. Eric T. Corrado. Matthew H. Crane. Shay M. Cunningham. Christian X. DeCuna. Samuel J. Dalsimer. Hillary L. De Silva. Hane S. Damusson. Chase De La Rosa. Mariana DeFeo. Jake R. Diamond. Nathan J. Denome. Sanaya V. Dubose. Angela Margaret Dorinda. Emmeline D. Echeverria. Jack E. Edwards. Sebastian E. Esquiva. Nicholas T. Esposito. Olivia R. Faraset. Julia C. Flood. Kyle J. Francavilla. Kimberly E. Fuentes. Larry Fuentes Rios. Giovanni Girardi. I would like to invite former Board of Ed trustee Rocco Germani up to present a diploma to our next graduate. Mia A. Germani. Andrew E. Glenner. Alicia Greco Correa. Emily M. Guzman Abreu. Ileana S. Hardy Soto. Isaac R. Harris. Abigail Maeve Heaton. Abigail Lynn Holtman. Dimitri Tyler Hilton. William McGee Johansson. Benjamin Richard King. Xander Kono. Dylan Ava Kujowski. Joseph Leone. Danielle Alexandra Lindo. Catherine Littman. Matthew C. Lord. Caroline Ravenel McCallion. Evelyn Mejia. Chantel Marino. Natalie Mestizo Munoz. Ashley Monahan. Luke Michael Murphy. Hikaru Noda. James Paul. Carissa Rose Peccia. Zachary Pena. Matthew Pereira. Lily Peterson. Evelyn Rose Pacone. Joseph M. Pulsino. Dalia Rabanales. Cora Radulovic. Leslie Ann Ramirez. Antonio Balcao Reese. Francesca Ilaria Renda. Diana Reyes. Emilio Reza. Cole Richards. Linus Soe Ringstad. Henry Robertson. Caitlin Athena Rodriguez. Kira Ronan. Daniel Marcus Rossi. Daniela Madison Schneider. Mark Seamer. Hannah Stockert. Benjamin Paz Taffet. Olivia Grace Taylor. Diana Teodorescu. Stefan Theus. Louis Tito. Amadea Tatungis. Ava M. Tuno. Faye Velikson. Kaylee Vergara. John Wallace IV. Timothy Wang. Jacob Weisman. Emma Young. Before I present the class of 2022, I would like to announce the names of graduates who were unable to join us this evening. Connor Cure, Justin Maldonado, Isaiah James Alexander Taylor. So congratulations to them as well. Now, it is with great pleasure that I present to you the members of the class of 2022 who have successfully completed a course of study prescribed by the Board of Education and approved by the state of New York and are entitled to be awarded these diplomas. Please join me in congratulating the Rhinebeck High School class of 2022.
podium.